Alright, so everything's recording. Looks good. Hey guys, Katie from the K Show blog here, and today I'm bringing you the last video for my Vicenza series, and I just wanted to share some tips for living there, settling in, adjusting to the new lifestyle and things like that. And I figured that I have a blog that has fairly thoroughly covered things to do. If you're looking for hikes in the area, you want to know where to go swimming, you want to know where to find the best gelato, you want to know where to go for day trips, you want to know where to travel that's close by. Like, I have covered that so in depth while I was there. So that's all already there, that already exists, and just reiterating those same things, it didn't seem like that was going to bring any value to anyone. So in this video, I really wanted to focus on things adjusting in daily life, like in those little things that maybe I haven't covered as much. And I know sometimes it doesn't, sometimes when I've read stuff, you know, back before I moved about living in Vicenza, and it'll be like, oh, the gelato is amazing, or something like that. And it's like, duh, like that's not helpful to anyone, that doesn't bring anyone any value. So I want to focus on like real talk. This is the nitty gritty. These are the things that will help you adjust and make the most of it and enjoy that chapter in Italy. So here we go. So number one, find things you love and do them a lot. And you want to approach this with a quality over quantity approach. Like, find those things that you really love, that really make you happy from the inside, not like a superficial way, like a real happiness, and just add them into your life. Like, it has to be weekly at least. And it's just because, like, living in Vicenza, and especially living in Vicenza like under these visa restrictions that I touched on in my last video, it can be really challenging. Like, it's not easy, and there's a big mental health problem there for a lot of people who are sent there. Not everyone, some people are gonna be fine there, but there's definitely enough people struggling that it's a problem. And I think it's so important to find things you love. Like, you have to proactively find things that make you happy. And when I think about it, I really, really, really loved going to my local cafe. I don't know what it was about it, but it was just, it always made me so happy to be there. I loved my local pizza place. I loved going up into the mountains on the weekends, like up into the Dolomites. That's why I have so many hiking guides. It was just such a place that made me happy, you know? And when I think about it, on the days that it felt like I was just pushing shit uphill and things had taken forever to get done, I'm getting logged out of my accounts and all that stuff that just made it so challenging, I would think back to these things that I love and be like, oh, but I'm so grateful to have, you know, this beautiful cafe in my life, and I'm so grateful I've seen, you know, the epic scenery up in the mountains. Like, you can come to it with a little bit of gratitude, and it really helps on those tough days. So I really think I challenge you to find the things you love, whatever it might be there, and then add it into your life. Number two is visit, don't call. Sometimes if you need to get in contact with a business, it can be a million times easier to just go there instead of calling, because sometimes it takes forever to get someone to answer the phone, and you'll just be calling. And you know, like, if you're busy and you have a lot of things to do in your day, you know, and you just want to tick that off the list, whatever you're trying to get done, like, you call, nobody answers, okay, I'll call back later, but then you start doing other things and maybe you forget later, so then it's the next day or whatever. Like, I've had to call so many times before some places answer the phone. So what I found was sometimes it was just easier to go there and just speak to a person and not, you know, I have to keep trying to call and call until somebody answers. Another thing I found was using Facebook Messenger if they had it. Like, that was sometimes an easier way to get in contact with somebody and actually talk to someone. So that's just a little tip. If you find yourself getting stuck making the same call over and over again and trying to get in touch with someone, maybe just go in there. Number three, keep your bills down and travel more. So I think your time in Vicenza is best done maximizing your travel opportunities, whether that's just in Italy or Europe in general. And kind of the best way to do that is to keep your bills and your living expenses as low as possible, so that you can use as much money as possible to, like, go on weekend trips, go on 4-day trips, and then leave blocks, and just maximize that opportunity. Because all those creature comforts you give up and sacrifice, all those little luxuries, they'll be there for you in America when you get back. They're all waiting for you, but you won't be able to travel around Europe as easily. So I feel like It's best to use that time for what it brings to the table, you know what I mean? And some ways to do this is, for example, the water is more expensive during the day. So you want to be, doing your washing at night, your laundry. I would set mine on a timer. Like, I'll do it before I go to bed, set the timer to start like a couple hours before I'd wake up, so that when I wake up, washing's done, I just got to hang it out. So that was one thing to save water. Run the dishwasher at night. I don't know what else you use water for, but like, do your water stuff at night and on weekends. So if you are like washing linens and stuff, do it on the weekend. Don't do it in the middle of a day on a weekday, because you're paying more for water. And try and limit like electricity in the same token. Put your money towards travel instead of the electricity company, you know what I mean? So see if you can live without aircon. People do it all around the world. It's possible. I did it the whole time I lived in Italy, except for when there was a heat wave. So like, try and limit those little luxuries, and it'll make a big difference in your monthly expenditure, and then you can just go for weekends away. Ooh, and another one is fuel. Try and consolidate all your trips. So like, don't just go out for one thing. Try and like, if you have a doctor's appointment, you might also do the groceries that day. You might also be going to the gym or whatever. Like, try and put things together so you're using less fuel. Those are just little tricks. They're little daily things, but they definitely do add up. Number 4, find people there who just get it, you know? And I don't have a lot of tact. I'm trying to find the right words. You know what? Direct is all I know, just say it. But living in Italy, especially under these restrictions, is rough, and it puts a lot of pressure on families. Living in Italy, in a place where Americans aren't always, let's say, welcome, it can be really rough. And some people, like, this is more like your friends back at home, your family or whatever, just refuse to hear that. They have this like rosy colored tourist goggles of Italy and think it's all perfect and rainbows and butterflies. So if you're having a rough day and you try and talk to them, you might just get that dismissive phrase of like, oh, but you live in Italy, you know, and then that's not fair on you, because you need to be able to, you know, express yourself when you're having a rough day. And at first that happened to me a lot when I was having a rough time adjusting, especially I didn't know about the whole sofa thing before I got there, so that was like just the rug pulled from under me. And hearing that over and over again was just incredibly isolating. And people, oh, but you live in Italy. Yeah, well, like, Italy is the cause of all my problems right now, you know what I mean? And maybe people in your life, like, you might not attract as many dismissive, avoidant types, but I certainly have a lot of them. So I think it's good to like find a circle of people in Italy who will just get it, and they'll know that your vent day is just a vent day, and it's not a character assassination on Italians or Italy in general. It's just going to be that vent of the frustration of life under those restrictions, you know what I mean? And living with an American car in an Italian country, so if something breaks, it's a lot more effort to get it and a lot more expensive. You know, living in those little things that just, they add up sometimes, and you just need to talk to someone about it. So that's definitely a big recommendation. Number 5, get into the culture. So the beauty of living there is you have so much more time than, say, just a tourist visiting for like 2 weeks or something. So you can really get into the culture in depth, which is really cool. So I would encourage you to stay at agriturismos. They're amazing. You can find them all around within a short drive from Vicenza, and even like all around Italy and the neighboring countries. Now these are like a working farm where they supplement their income with accommodation. So they might be renting out rooms. Some of them are pretty basic, just a room, you know what I mean? And maybe nothing else. And then some get really elaborate. You can get a villa and you know, have like it's like a luxury hotel. So you can sort of like find one for whatever you like. My favorites have been La Fontecchia in Tuscany. I went there twice. It's amazing. I have a blog post on it. I'll link it below. And also Fonte Nuova, I think that's pronounced right. That's near the Saturnia hot springs. That was a great place as well. So either of those if you need a starting point. Otherwise, just start looking around. They're really cool, and it's a great way because they usually sell products like direct from their farm. And if you get their meals, they'll like feed you with food from their farm. So it's like, it's just a cool experience. And other things you can do to like really get into the culture is like cooking classes, wine tastings, truffle hunting. Just, there's classes for everything, and just go and like meet people and learn about it and get these cool experiences under your belt because you have the time to do it. Number 6, organizing your morning and afternoon shift. So one thing is the standard for businesses in Italy is they're going to close for a long lunch from like anywhere from like 12 to 3, give or take. So it might be like 12:30 to 3:30 or something like that. But there's going to be a big gap in the middle of the day for a lot of businesses. Not all. So if you're going to like Venice or a big city like that, you're probably not going to experience it as much. But definitely when you're doing stuff around Vicenza, it's fairly safe to expect that. So for me, since we shared a car and I would use the car as little as possible and just stack my errands on one day to save fuel, I would plan a morning shift. So I'd go out first thing when everything opens, do that morning shift, come back home for lunch, and then go out for the afternoon shift once everything opens again. So it's not going to be that style of like, oh, maybe you start mid-morning, do a couple of errands, stop for lunch, keep going, like, because it's not going to work as well unless you know that place is hours and they're going to be open over lunch. So just check the hours and then sort of have some structure to plan your day. Number 7, get into the community. So I definitely recommend getting into your local community as much as you can. So that's like the town where you live. Go to the local cafe, go to the local butcher for meat, use the local water thing. What are they called? The water machine where you get the nice water. Go to the local market for your fruit and veggies. Go to the local restaurants, like be a face in the community. Support the local sports team if they're playing. However you can, I think it's good to integrate yourself into the community and be a part of it as opposed to being like an outsider watching. You know, just make yourself a part of it and just kind of just got to force yourself in and just start doing things. And I think it's really a cool way to really experience life in the community as opposed to like watching life in the community, if you know what I mean. Number 8, the dining experience is going to be a little bit different. So what to expect at restaurants. Number 1, when you go out for a meal, it's not going to be that fast-paced American experience. It's much slower. It's a much more like, hey, actually sit and enjoy your meal. We're not going to rush you out. We're not going to come over and shove the check in your face. Like, enjoy it. So that's what you can expect. And that means there might be like a longer waiting time to get a table if it's busy, because they're not going to be rushing people out. And it also might mean that if you are in a rush and you're trying to eat at a restaurant, like you're going to need to be a little more assertive and get the waiter's attention to make your order and then get the check and leave. Because otherwise you'll just be sitting there forever, because they'll just let you sit and enjoy. You know what I mean? If you're taking up a table, even if you're finished eating, they're not going to like rush you out. So it's mostly those two things, like what to expect there. And then if you are in a rush or you want to move things along, like you have to be the one to get the waiter's attention. So hopefully that helps you adjust there. Number 9, always have some cash on you. So always keep a little bit of Euro cash on you, because there's still a lot of places that don't take card there. I think the bank fees are still a little bit high, so there's more of a cash-based flow. And you can also get a lot of discounts if you pay for cash at certain places. Like I did the video of the ceramics stores, they all do discounts for cash. There's a lot of other places. And usually you'll think that it will be businesses with small amounts, you know, small transactions that are only doing cash. But like I've seen it at vets when I've had to like go get hundreds of dollars of cash out, you know, and even hairdressers and things like that. There seems to also be a lot of tax evasion going on, because I've definitely got receipts for different amounts than I've paid, and it's always lower. So, I mean, whatever works, but it's just good to know that you should always have cash on you. And then even if you're going somewhere new for the first time, I would just call them, like when you're making that appointment, either you're in person or you've got a hold of them on the phone or whatever, just double check like, hey, do you take card or do I need to have cash? Just so you can be prepared, because yeah, it's gonna help. Number 10, driving tips. So the driving is a little different in Italy. It's very fast paced, it's very intense, very aggressive. That slow pace of life everyone fantasizes about with Italy doesn't exist once they get behind the wheel of a car. It's all systems go, and it's very aggressive driving. So the best way to adapt to this and blend in is you got to be one of the crowd. You know, you have to pick up some of those aggressive driving traits as well, and that's the only way you're going to get anywhere. Because if you're like at a merge lane waiting for someone to let you in, you will wait forever, because they will be expecting you to sort of like force your way in kind of thing. And it's the same thing if you're on the the driving lane, you know, and people have a merge lane, if you just like be courteous and give one person plenty of space, like 10 people are going to try and rush in. So you have to sort of like give one person just enough space to get in and sort of keep that aggressiveness up so that a lot of people can't push in. Generally, even outside of driving, just even in stores, anything that involves forming a line just doesn't go. Like, you have to have that in you, otherwise you will just wait forever. So that's one thing to know about driving specifically. And the easiest way to like pick up this style is just to practice. Go for little short trips, then do a little longer, then do a little longer. Just practice, you'll get used to it, and then it will just become normal. And since the driving style is so aggressive, the only way that that works is because Italians are very active drivers. It's not like cruise control, like they are watching their surroundings, they know exactly how big their car is, and they're ready for anything. And like, you have to be like that as well. You can't be asleep at the wheel. You need to be ready for someone to cut in, because they're gonna expect that you're like that, you know what I mean? So they might just cut in, and you're expected to anticipate that. And honestly, it sounds worse than it is, because once you get used to it, like I would be driving and be like, oh, I know there's half a car length there, someone's gonna cut in, and they would, but like, because I was practiced, I was ready for it. So it really is like practice makes perfect. Sorry, my camera turned itself off. So number 11, don't stress about the rules. Now, sometimes when you read things about visiting Italy and you read like all the etiquettes and the rules and things like that about, especially going out or anything around food, like don't have a cappuccino after a certain time of day, and don't have a cocktail with dinner, and don't mix these two ingredients and things like that, you can like stress yourself about it. And I've known people who have like stress themselves into a frenzy when like trying to go out and eat, because they're, oh, you know, it's after this time, could I have a cappuccino? Oh, I don't want to be rude. Don't worry about that stuff. Like, I say it's good to want to make an effort, it's good to learn about those things, but don't put so much pressure on yourself to get everything right, especially when you're new, that you work yourself into a frenzy and like create more anxiety for yourself. Just, if you feel like getting a cappuccino, get a cappuccino. Feel like a cocktail with dinner, get a cocktail. It's not the end of the world, you know what I mean? And if that staff at that place are just going to be rude to you, whatever, take your money somewhere else. Like, it doesn't matter so much. Like, just do your best and learn as much as you can, and try and adopt things if that's important to you, but like, don't put so much pressure that you're just stressing yourself out. It's not worth it. Lastly, if all else fails, put on your best Australian accent and pretend to be Australian, because you know what? They love Australians there. It's really cool. I felt like a celebrity half the time. But for real, like, you might get a little prejudice for being an American. I certainly even experienced it when people were assuming I was American. The closer you are to the base, the more it's going to happen. It exists. It just goes with the territory. But if you're looking for the people who are loving and warm and they're going to treat you nice, there's plenty of them there. And I have a post on my site for the best local businesses in Vicenza. Go to that list, use that as your resource, and when you're needing stuff, like, find those businesses first, because I've already like interacted with them so many times and they've always been nice to me. So like, I just wanted to share them with you guys as well. Hopefully it'll help you settle in. Hopefully these tips help as well. If you have any others, pop them in the comments. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm always happy to help. Otherwise, this is probably a long video. I'm going to let you go about your day. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.